Hello folks, this is Hdr from InspiredRise.com, and today we have the newly launched ASUS Zenfone Max and the Xiaomi Redmi Note 3 smartphone here with us for a detailed comparison review between both of these smartphones. So guys, without wasting much time, let's begin. So the first thing that you would notice between both of these smartphones is that the Zenfone Max display does seem a little bit more brighter. Both of these displays are set to maximum possible brightness without turning the auto mode on, and the truth is that the Zenfone Max display is indeed a little bit brighter than the Xiaomi Redmi Note 3's display, so that's +1 for the Zenfone Max. Now let's talk about the build and design of these phones. The Redmi Note 3 comes with a metallic design, very nice to hold and touch, very solid phone in hand. It comes with a metallic design, 5.5-inch full HD display, and as can be seen, it has a fingerprint sensor on the back. Whereas on the other hand, the ASUS Zenfone Max comes with a leather body and a 5.5-inch display, but not a metallic finish or a fingerprint sensor, though the leather finish on the back does seem pretty good. So it's all a matter of choice, whether you like a metallic design and whether you like a leather design. But the fingerprint sensor is something that is sorely missed on the ASUS Zenfone Max. But few things in Zen UI make it very easy to switch on your phone and switch off your phone. You can just have an application to switch your phone off, and you can just double tap to wake up on the screen. So if you are going to use the fingerprint sensor only for unlocking your smartphone, then you are better off without it on the Zenfone Max. Talking about the battery capacity and the build, then the Zenfone Max has 5000 mAh battery, whereas the Xiaomi's Redmi Note 3 has a 4000 mAh battery. The difference is evident in size, as the Zenfone Max is definitely bigger than the Redmi Note 3 and even more heavier than the Redmi Note 3. So that humongous battery does make for huge size changes. The ASUS Zenfone Max comes with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 615 chipset, octa-core chipset clocked in at 1.5 GHz, whereas the Redmi Note 3 comes with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 650 chipset, which is a hexa-core chipset clocked in at 1.4 GHz. And we all know that the Snapdragon 650 on the Redmi Note 3 is a better performing chipset, and it comes with Adreno 510 GPU, whereas the ASUS Zenfone Max comes with the Adreno 405 GPU. And apart from that, when you compare a few other things about these devices, then the Zenfone Max comes with a 720p HD display, whereas the Redmi Note 3 comes with a full HD display, so that's +1 for Redmi Note 3. And the Zenfone Max has one plus point here, that it comes with a 32GB internal storage at the same price point as the Redmi Note 3, while the Redmi Note 3 comes with a 16GB internal storage. Though you can use microSD card on both of these phones, but the Redmi Note 3 has a hybrid SIM slot, whereas the Zenfone Max has a dedicated microSD card slot, so that's +1 for the Zenfone Max. And apart from that, both of these smartphones in terms of Android version are different. The Zenfone Max comes with Android Marshmallow, so it benefits from the battery optimizations and few other things on the Marshmallow based system, whereas MIUI 7 is still running on 5.1.1 Android on the Redmi Note 3, which is a minus point for the Redmi Note 3. In terms of battery backup, we got around 3 days of battery backup on the Zenfone Max, whereas on the Redmi Note 3 we got around 1.5 days on average usage. So that means that the Redmi Note 3 is behind on this one also. In terms of sensors, the Redmi Note 3 is definitely huge. It has a huge number of sensors. There's a lot of sensors. You get everything. You get a lot of sensors for doing everything. It also has a gyroscope, whereas on the other hand, the Zenfone Max does not seem to have a gyroscope, so that's something bad. Though it has a orientation sensor, so maybe it does make the gyroscope functionality. Both of the phones that we have come with 2GB RAM. We have 2GB RAM model of both of these phones. So it's written over here 959 MB of 2GB available. That's the RAM that you get starting from an initial boot condition. It's not visible on the camera because of the low contrast of this one and huge backlighting that we have. And On the Zenfone Max, we get more than 1 GB RAM free on the first boot condition, so RAM optimization is definitely better on the Zenfone Max in terms of that. In terms of Antutu benchmark scores, we got 71,790 on the Redmi Note 3, whereas compared to the 40,570 on the Zenfone Max. So there's a staggering difference over here, even when both of these smartphones have the same 2 GB of RAM. This is because of the fact that the Snapdragon 650 on the Redmi Note 3 is indeed a beast at this price point, and there is no defeating it, certainly at this price point for this time. When comparing both of these smartphones in terms of the cameras, both of these smartphones come equipped with a 5-megapixel camera, though the camera on the Zenfone Max is a little better in terms of the angle, that it is a wide angle camera. It has more viewing degree than the Redmi Note 3. While the back camera megapixel count on the Redmi Note 3 16 megapixel and is definitely higher than that on the ASUS Zenfone Max. But still, in terms of technology use, the Zenfone Max does seem a little bit better. Now let's just compare the photographs that we took on both of these phones. So this is a selfie taken by us at same time duration, same angle, and you can see that on the Zenfone Max the color of my face is a little bit more redder and the clarity is somewhat missing, despite of the fact that on both of these cameras we had set the beautification to off and the mode was set to auto, and herein I look somewhat a little bit more redder, though I'm not that much red. And on the Redmi Note 3 the clarity is excellent. In terms of the megapixel count, both are 5 megapixel, but the clarity on Redmi Note 3 selfie camera is excellent. It shows everything in nice detail, whereas on the Zenfone Max the face looks a little bit blurred out. But in terms of viewing angles, the Redmi Note 3 is a little bit lesser than the Zenfone Max, which has wider viewing angle. And apart from that, if you look at the photographs, you would also find that the Redmi Note 3 takes an inverted mirror image selfie, whereas on the other hand, the Zenfone Max takes a true to life image, wherein you can see the Aqua logo written straight away. It's written straight, but here this image is a mirror image. So in terms of the selfie camera performance, you can say that the Redmi Note 3 is better because of its sharpness and because of overall color reproduction, which is nice. And let's just move on to the next photograph. This is a low light photograph taken by us. So in this low light photograph, look at the quality of the image. The Zenfone Max image is a little bit more towards the warmer side, while the Redmi Note 3's image is a little bit more towards the cooler side, though both of them are not 100% accurate, and we can say that the original color was somewhere between both of these. And if we zoom in on this picture, let us see which picture has more noise. So if we zoom in on the picture on the Zenfone Max, though it looks aesthetically pleasing, the text here is almost fully blurred out, whereas on the Redmi Note 3 the text is still a little bit legible. This is because of the fact that on the Redmi Note 3 we get a higher megapixel count, but when you look at the overall image in low light, the image on the left one, the Zenfone Max image, does look a little bit more pleasing to the eyes to see. So here the Zenfone Max definitely wins. And let's move on to the next image that was taken with HDR mode enabled on both of these smartphones. So when we had enabled the HDR mode on both of these smartphones, this is the image that we got. On the Zenfone Max, the greens seem to show a lot of shadow over here. As you can see that the greens show a lot of shadow over here. There is adequate amount of sharpness, clarity, color reproduction. And on the Redmi Note 3, the greens are a little bit towards the lighter side, and if we try to consider the true scenario, then actually the Redmi Note 3's image is better here, because if you just zoom in also, then also there is definitely more clarity on the Redmi Note 3's image, whereas on the Zenfone Max image you can see that there is a little bit more darkness on these sides, which was not the case. The trees were not so much dark green as seen over here. And when seen without the HDR mode on, let's just switch to the next image. So this is the next image without the HDR mode. Herein both of the smartphones fare good, but still here the Redmi Note 3 does a better job of capturing pictures in extreme light. So here the sunlight is extreme. Redmi Note 3 does a better job of capturing that picture. But when you look at the far off building, you can see on the Redmi Note 3 there is a little bit pixelation, while on the Zenfone Max there is less pixelation. So this is better software processing in terms of what the post processing is done on the image in Zenfone Max. So +1 for the Zenfone Max here, that it did take a nice image without the HDR mode on. And now let's move on to the next photograph here. This photograph definitely looks more vibrant on the Zenfone Max, though not actually true to life colors are visible over here. These leaves are not that much green. If you prefer true to life colors, then the Redmi Note 3 has done it accurately, while the Zenfone Max has made it a little bit more animated and vivid towards the more yellowish greenish side, while the truer color is shown on the Redmi Note 3. So guys, you have to choose for yourself whether you want more sharper and truer to life images as on the Redmi Note 3, or you want more vibrant images as seen on the ASUS Zenfone Max. All in all, both of these smartphones are good enough, the ASUS Zenfone Max as well as the Redmi Note 3. When talking about performance, Redmi Note 3 takes the lead. In terms of camera also, Redmi Note 3 takes a very slight lead over here. And in terms of battery life, there is no defeating the Zenfone Max. In terms of the software and UI experience, both of these smartphones feel the same because of the fact that both of these smartphones sport a customized ROM, whereas the Zen UI does feel a little bit less heavy as opposed to the MIUI ROM on the Xiaomi's Redmi Note 3. So one more thing to keep in mind is that the Zenfone Max comes pre-installed with a lot of bloatware applications which can't be removed by you unless you root your smartphone. So that's a plus point for Xiaomi, that MIUI does not have that much bloatware on the smartphone pre-installed. So that's one thing which is good about MIUI, that there is less bloatware over here. In terms of user interface, both are good, but the MIUI interface does seem a little bit more polished at points, and you would see a little bit more refined edges over here. That's also a matter of personal preference, what you want on your smartphone. At the end of the day, both of these smartphones retail for a price of around 10,000 rupees, and you have to make the choice whether you want better performance and a slightly better camera, or you want a better battery life and a slightly more vibrant display and few other things on the Zenfone Max, for example the Android Marshmallow experience. So that's something that you have to choose between. So guys, this was it for the comparison review video between both of these smartphones. In case you like this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. This is Aditya Jha from inspiredrise.com signing off folks. Stay inspired guys.